Body, speech, and mind held in perfect oneness. I send my heart along with the sound of the bell. May the hearers awaken from forgetfulness and transcend all anxiety and sorrow.
Ba nghiệp lắng thanh tịnh, gửi lòng theo tiếng chuông. Nguyện người nghe tỉnh thức, vượt thoát nẻo đau buồn.
Good evening, my dear brothers and sisters. Today is Friday, February 24th, 2017. We are having our weekly meditation session. And today is the last Friday of the month, so we have tea together. Having tea together like this is also a kind of meditation. That's why we call tea meditation. Because when you are drinking tea and you realize the fragrance of the tea and you're able to taste the tea, you're able to sit and enjoy the quiet moment for yourself, for the community, for the group. All of this can be called meditation. Sometimes we have a habit. Our habit is not to get used to sitting quietly like this for at least 5-10 minutes. We always have some activities and we always move up and move around and try to find something to do, something to talk, something to go with. And because we live with that regular habit, that's why it's hardly for us to taming and control ourselves when things come. Especially sometimes something happened to us, we just react very fast and we don't have enough time to calm and reflect. And that's why sometimes with that kind of habit, we may cause the problems, or we may cause the problem more major, more serious, because we're unable to calming and relaxing. So even though when you feel a little bit uncomfortable, oh my goodness, I never have, can sit like this, move the teapot around quietly, just keep silently like this. And if you know the practice, everything you are doing right now is you are doing in meditation. When you're able to slow down, because the practicing here is try to slow down a little bit in order to have time to enjoy. Time is already, only 24 hours. And because we always have something as a destination, so we are chasing the time all the time. We are chasing the goal that we want, but we very rarely have time to enjoy. So even we did not start anything yet. We just ask you to sit quietly, pour your tea into your cup and pass it on. And if you realize the teapot is empty, you can walk slowly to the big pot to refill. Every single thing like that. That is the practicing of meditation. The same as I used to remind that when you stop your car in the parking lot, when you park your car, do not wait until you step into this hall in order to practice meditation. You should practice meditation right after you get off your car. You walk slowly in, you gently close the door because you know that somebody already started the meditation in this hall. So closing the door gently is a kind of support for someone up here. And the reason we close the door gently because we are aware somebody is practicing meditation. Same thing. When we do something, we are aware with the thing we do. Aware means we understand, we are fully realized. Not only us here, but somebody around. Especially when you walk into some place at night, very late. You try to walk gently. You try to whisper. You try not to turn on the lights. Or you try to not make too much noise. Why is that? Because you realize it is late. It was late. We should be gentle. So that realization, in Buddhist practice, we call meditation. But sometimes we have done meditation in that way, we never know. So I'm sure that in our daily life, we have practiced something called meditation by another name. Because the way you gentle is already show that you are aware something around. So now with the light of mindfulness, we use the term here, mindfulness means we realize, be mindful on things around. So when you pour the tea into your cup, you're also aware how much tea you need. And if it's too hot, how can you hold the teapot? How can you pass on to someone? If you pass on by hand, it may be too hard for them. So the best way is to leave right in front of them. So after that, they can join their palm. They express their thanks to you or their greeting to you by bow like this, and they continue to pour the tea into the cup, and then they do the same thing. So don't think that, this kind of thing is not meditation. This is meditation, but this is more practical because this is something we do every day. Every morning when we wake up, we walk, gently to the washroom, to wash our face, to brush the teeth, to turn on the water. And sometimes we have the habit, we are brushing the teeth, but we leave the water on. And we don't know that, turning on the water like that is a kind of waste. So we have two choices, whether we turn off the water and wait until we're done, or we have a cup so we can take some water and using for rinsing and brushing the teeth. A second that we are aware like that, we turn on the water like that, you will say, doesn't save much. Sometimes people will say that, why we need to do that? It doesn't save much. But can you imagine if we save 1,000 times like that, how much water we save? And if we think it doesn't save much, and the other person can think the same way as we thought, then thousands and millions of people using water in that way, and how much water we waste. That's why little by little, if a little goodness add up, it can become a great goodness. But as a tiny, mistakes add up, it can become an evil, a major mistakes. We can lose mark if that is the plural and we forgot an S. We lose mark easily. We can lose mark when we do spelling tests. It's the past tense. We did not have the past verb. We can lose mark. So we can take this as the grammar when we learn in school. We can lose mark, by many things like that. Just lose an S or extra S or miss a D, everything like that. We can lose half mark. And we fail because many tiny mistakes. And when we receive the quiz, we tap on our head, oh, how can I forget this? Things like that. So what is the habit here? We live with our forgetfulness more than mindfulness. So we invite you to enjoy tea, not just to drink tea, but to be mindful on your drinking. Be mindful when you lift up the cup. Be mindful when you sit down. Be mindful when you stand, when you walk. Sometimes I'm not feeling well. I am unable to sleep at night. And I realize some of my body part signal and tell me that part start to have some problem. I can realize what's happening on my body in order to send my care, my love to that part. We have two eyes, and we can ask the question, how much time did we spend to close the eyes and to send our love, our care, our appreciation to the eyes and say, thanks for helping me to see things since I was born. I'm sorry I abused you too much. Sometimes we turn off the lights already. I still use iPhone, iPad. I mistreat you. You are my friends. You are my buddy. But I did not use you well enough. But you are very kind. You're still working. Whenever I ask you to work, but one day you on strike. That means we have eyes problem. We only care for the eyes or come to see the doctors for treatment when the eyes are problem. But when we still have the eyes, bright and healthy, we did not know how to protect. This is how we are. We did not know how to protect things before it starts to damage. We only go to the garage for tune-up when the lights turn on and tell us some signal, oil change, things like that. So the practicing here is be aware of that. So in order to not to mistreat, especially our physical body, even though we understand this physical body is temporary use, maybe 60 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, we never know. But because it's not real, it's temporary, that's why we need to pay attention. Every machine we buy right now, they have guarantee on the sticker. 5 years guarantee, 20 years guarantee. But this body have no guarantee. So that's why we need to pay attention more. So when you look at the plate of chocolates, cookies, we have this all the time. But we are not really sit down and look at the piece of cookie to see how they have done, what words on the cookie. Sometimes the cookies have the picture or the words on it. We just take out and eat. But we are not really, look carefully a piece of cookie. Sometimes I have a vegetable. As a Vietnamese, we used to eat, sometimes we eat raw vegetable. And every time when I lift up the vegetable like that, I used to look at it. And I realized how miracle. Just some seed they put into the ground with the sunshine, with the water, with some care, and now the plant grow, and we pick the leaves, and now we have the leaf, and the smell, the fragrance of each leaves, like peppermint, like mint, like lentil, etc. So why we need to live with that? In order to see, instead of blaming life, we can learn and see that the miracle of life, the miracle of things we have around us, so miracle. And because of that, we nurture the nature of joyful, the nature of joyfulness in us. And we water the positive in us more than the negatives. At the beginning, I said we used to live with our negative habits. We are moving more than sitting quietly. Every time when I attend a funeral, in our tradition, all the family members must kneel down in front of the deceased daughter, the altar, in order to pay respect. They have to kneel down and pay the respect they have touched on earth fully. Very painful when you have to kneel down with your two knees, especially some place without cushion. Just moving around, uncomfortable. And I said, now, I told the family members, now I share with you another way to practice. When you kneel down like this, you think it's painful, right? Can you imagine the painful of your mom when she carried us in her womb for 9 months? And how painful on the night, on the day that she delivered us. Her painful even more. Sometimes she have to handle of that painful for hours, for days, to deliver a baby. And how many years she have raised us, and how much time she spent for us. She may lose her sleep, she may lose her weight, her joyful. Now we only kneel down for 40 minutes, an hour. Painful. But when you think of your mom, of your grandma, this painful is nothing. And then you can see the miracle. You can see the miracle. And what happens when you meditate like that? Your understanding start to arise. And once your understanding arises, what happens? Your love also there. So in Buddhist practice we say, more understanding, more love. Because you understand someone in order to love that person easily. So in order to forgive someone, put ourselves into that situation. Oh, if I am her, I will do the same. If I was him, I may do the same. So now I understand. Maybe you are not totally 100% forgive yet, but at least you feel more calm. Your temper start to cool down. You stop your blaming. You just have time to dissolve what you have saved. And then that is the time for you to release what you have hold in you. But you stop receiving more temper. You stop increase the temper in you. This is the miracle of practice. There is a sentence we used to read every chanting time. The Dharma is deep and lovely. We now have a chance to see it, study it, and practice it. What is the Dharma? Dharma means any way that able to help you to move on, to release. Anything that able to help you to overcome your obstacle, your struggling, your depressed, that is called Dharma. The Dharma is deep and lovely. Sometimes, something very simple. Just put yourself in that person's situation. You stop blaming. You start forgive. Is that miracle? And what is miracle will happen after you release the love in you? You stop blaming. You start understanding. You start love. Practicing means we're able to do it. When you receive the teachings but we don't practice, it's not yet. But at least you see this is something. Sometimes we walk by a bookstore. There is a title of the book interested us. Or the author. We like the author. We don't know what is this book talking about. But because of the author, we may buy it, and later on we will read it. Sometimes we bought a CD, a music CD. Only one song in that CD that we like. But we have to buy the whole CD. Is that true? Sometimes just one singer in that CD that we like, and we will buy the whole CD. And the one who make that kind of business, they understand the way we think. That's why they never bring all the good singers into one CD. They will separate them out so they can sell more CD. So I used to introduce you the very gentle way that you get into the practice. Not too far, but it's reality. And you can touch right away. And this is what I have practiced every day. Saving electrics, saving the water, is one of the way we can practice. And you can see how happy every time when you can turn off the water because you have reflect, you have stopped your habit, the habit of turning the water, brushing the teeth. And you happy right away. Or you can stop, react, your fast react. And you will say, wow, it's a miracle. I'm able to overcome my anger. I'm able to stop, explode, but I am more calming. And I realize when I calm down, 5 minutes later, 20 minutes later, I can talk to that person, but in a very pleasant way. That person have received my message. Remember, when you yell, people never listen. Because you're yelling, make them too far away from you. Even you sit close to them, and they will say, I'm not deaf, you don't have to yell. Sometimes we, sit next to each other, but it looks like we are too far. Because the communication between us and that person is not close enough. There was a verse that every time when we pay respect to the Buddha, we chant. The distance between me and the Buddha is not too far. When I'm able to fully present here, I meet the Buddha. There was a gatha to remind us, where is the Buddha's paradise? Right in front of your eyes. And you should know that the awakening and the affliction not too far. At the very early minute, you're angry because you did not understand the situation. Once you have understand the situation, your anger disappears. Where did it go? And who give it to you and who take it out from you? Nobody give it to you, and also nobody move it out from you. Just because when understanding is in our heart, we can smile and we can free from hate, from anger. If you have a chance to walk by the Great Bell, take a look at some of the verses that we used to chant every time we invite the bell. And there was a sentence that I very much like. When the flower of understanding blooming in you, the love, the smiling also bloom along with it. Try to balance. If your day is completely, you live with hate, that is a black day. If a day you live with love, that is a good day. This life, we need the energy of love, the energy of understanding. So every time when you come for tea meditation, don't wait. This is the practice, and we bring this practice home. So from now on, every morning when you making tea or coffee, you can gently, stir the coffee, and you can see the instant coffee dissolve in your hot water. It's a miracle. Just some hot water. This powder can dissolve and become something for me to drink. How miracle! I only need to turn on the water. I have warm water to use. How miracle! I just start my tiny button here. My car start and make my car warm. Miracle. Maybe 30 years ago we don't have that starter. We have to walk to the car, we have to snow. You see, compared to the time that you turn on the button in here and your car starts, you get warm in your car. What else you want? Where's heaven? Heaven is right there. Then remember to use that button carefully. Use it carefully. We only have two hands. But with mindfulness, these two hands can do tons of things, not only two things. This hand can show care, love, many things. Many things come from these two hands. So if we meditate enough, and we will see that the eyes, the ear, the tongues, the hands, the arms, the legs, they are all beautiful and miracle. They give us a lot of things that we should done for our loved one, and lot of benefit things for people. People can benefit a lot from this physical temporary body. Why we waste? And why we don't use it meaningfully? Especially when it's still young, it's still healthy, it still have a lot of energy to do many things. Even a senior body, an old body, they still come to do volunteering. They still can register to many charity to do, volunteering. Then why we can't? Why we waste? Why we damage? Every time when I realize some young people, they damage their life, they damage their, they just waste their life, they just waste their youth. I'm so sorry about that. Because I know that they have a lot of talent. They have a lot of talent that we can use them. Do you know what can we do with old chocolate? You can put into the pot and you can turn on the stove with the small stove cooking and you can make fondue. And you can dip with fruit. You don't have to throw old chocolate away. Because the chocolate cooked and then we can dip fruits in there, we can make fruit fondue. Recycling. Everything can be recycled. In Vietnamese home, we used to cook rice for dinner, for lunch. If accidentally you put too much water into the rice and the rice is a little bit like pudding, we can turn into congee. Add more water and make congee. You don't have to throw it away. If you fast react, this doesn't cook, you throw the rice into the garbage. And then 5 minutes later, what I'm doing, why I'm so silly, why don't I save it? I can make congee. But with mindfulness, you don't have to rush. I cook it wrong, what can I do with this? So slow yourself down. So next week when you come here for sitting meditation, we used to have 15 minutes walking around the hall. We call slow walk. You can call slow walking or you can call walking meditation. You can call whatever you like. As long as that become one of your practice. Some people, they think meditation is a big word for them. So I use breathing technique. Every day I need some breathing. We all breathe. We never stop breathing. If we stop breathing, we die. We always breathe. But now just add a little bit mindfulness into our breathing. We call mindful breath. We breathe, but with our attention. You pay attention to your breath. Now you pay attention to your steps. You pay attention to your food. You pay attention to your drink. That's good enough. Because when you pay attention, you start to do something called caring for yourself. Every time when you take out the cigarette, you almost smoke. You pay attention. Is this a smoke or this is a lung cancer? So even on the box of the cigarette, they still remind you that sentence. Smoking causes lung cancer. And that becomes a signal. So you can meet meditation all day long. You can meet Buddhism everywhere, every corner of the universe, of your daily life. So I just want to introduce you for those who are very new to the practice. I know a lot of people, when they come to the mindfulness day, they have to line up and, gently taking the food. They sit down quietly, they wait until everybody got the food, and we eat in silence, we eat gently. They don't get used to it. Look like fun, very funny. But that is the practice, to help us to slow down a little bit. You can imagine nothing can be done perfectly when we rush. Nothing completely done, perfectly when we rush. Things complete perfect because we pay attention to it, because we put an effort in it, because we put attention into it. Every time when you write an article, you must read again to see how your sentence put together, your grammar, your dictation. Even though you 5 times read over, you still have mistakes. Right? And this happened to me all the time. When we publish a book, and people type and they send to me for me to read, and then they correct the mistakes. Sometimes, back and forth 5-6 times before they print. And they ask me, Thay, are you sure everything good? I said, yes. But after, 100 books published, I bring back, I saw my mistake there. How can I miss these mistakes? Too bad. This is life. This is life. And every time like that, no blaming, smiling and accepting. And we learn. And we can see that, wow, this is the lecture. So because of that, and we never expect, but we try the best. Try to make things as better as they can. Even though we try like that, but things still not as good as we want. Then can you imagine if we do things, we live without any mindfulness, then we can see how messy. You can look at a child. A child who lives with, the watching of their parents. The parents watch them, guarding them and teaching them, and the one without any teachings. You can see the big difference. Even though you try to, taming them every tiny things, you still see them messy around. And if a child lives with that habit, and do we think that when they grow up as a teenager, as an adult, they will change? Not much. Not much, because that becomes their habit. They don't see it's wrong. What's wrong with that? Sometimes we ask them to clean their room, and they say, I don't see anything wrong with that. I'm okay with it. Is that how we answer when we were young? If somebody tried to correct us, and we said, I don't see anything wrong with that. Do you know, sometimes the parents will say, if you already see something wrong with it, then it's become a major. So every one of us, we need a mirror to reflect. And what is that mirror? Mindfulness. So don't get mad if somebody try to correct us. because they are our teachers. They're willing to correct every time we are wrong. If they are praising us on the right thing, they are our friends. If we do something good, they're praising us. They are our friends. If we have done something wrong, they correct us. They are our teachers. You have done nothing correct, but they're always praising you. They are your enemy. They just damage you more. You don't see yourself. So my practice is very simple. I try to stop and reflect on everything I do. Sometimes when you wash dishes, we used to wash the dishes, but we don't like to wash the sink. We don't like to clean the sink because it's dirty. Does that happen to us sometimes? When our parents ask us to wash the dishes, we just wash the dishes, but we don't like to clean the mess. Somebody else, like our parents, and they who are the last one to clean the mess. But you never know that. If you already have done that far, why don't you try a little bit more, and you can see how happy when you are completely done things you must be done. You see completely. When you shovel the snow, and this is sometimes happened to me, the first thing we think, just one shovel, as long as we see some way to walk. But after that, no. It's just a little bit more. You try to make it wider and make things clean. After that, you look and you see the whole sidewalk clean. It's more beautiful than you just use one shovel, one line only. At first, you think only one line as good as enough that we can walk on. And every time when I did like that, another lecture for me to learn. If you try a little bit more, things will be different. Of course, somebody else, they are more easier. They say, that's good enough. But they are your guests. They can give you an easy time, but you have to be your teacher. Be your teacher. Do not give you that easy lesson. You will just stop there all your life. And remember, every time when you do like that, one thing you do like that, then 100 things will be like that. It's okay, not a problem. You always, but you have dropped many tiny things down. In Costco and wholesale, there was a person who stand right in front and they count your items to see you got the right item before they let you out. Maybe they don't count every tiny thing you do, but because of that, it prevents people who are not, honest. Sometimes there was a camera. It doesn't work, but at least it can prevent someone who tried to do something wrong. The sound of the bell is nothing. But when there's a lot of noises, this sound of the bell this sound of the bell has the power to make people quiet. A single mindfulness is nothing. But my friends, every time when you pay attention to something, you can find how lucky you are. You have reflect back. I have an unexpected funeral service in Regina yesterday. So I have to book a ticket and fly to Regina to attend a funeral. And somebody say, "Oh, Thầy, you don't have to ask somebody give you a ride to the airport. I'm on my way to Calgary, so I can give you a ride there. I can stop at the airport and drop you down." They was late. My flight at 2:30. 1:40, I still on the way. So I asked an iPhone so I can check in. So when I check in, they asked me the boarding pass that's sent to my email so I can show. But you know what happened when I arrived? They tried to scan my boarding pass. Doesn't work. You know what happened? Because I was late, so they unable to send or any information with my boarding pass on that flight. What I received is the return flight from Regina to Edmonton, not from Edmonton to Regina. I have to run to the kiosk. The kiosk doesn't work also because it's time's up. I have to line up at the agent, a long line. And I asked the one of the ladies who's working, I was late, can I go? They say, "Sorry, you have to wait." But luckily I made it, but I am the last one. When I got on the plane, I reflect all the time that I run and things going on. And I realized that, sometimes if you do not pay attention enough to something, because you think it's already there, but actually it's not. And your delay, your late can be happening. So now we can realize what is called mindfulness. Don't misunderstanding when you have the boarding pass, that is the right one. Sometimes you took out the wrong one and you try to scan for hours, doesn't work. You never look. Sometimes you only need to look at that boarding pass in order to confirm whether it's correct or not. But I'm sure this is the one. You only need a second to look back to realize the code, the airport code, then things will be solved. But you just for sure of something and you didn't do it. You just stand there and argue, things will be late. Oh, every day we have things to learn. There are a lot of things to learn every day. And that's why you never feel boring when you practice. Because you can see that every single thing that happened to us, and if we spend a few minutes to reflect back what happened, we have a lecture. We have a lesson right away. So to tell you the truth, I'm not boring at all on my practice. And you will say, how come I go here every Friday and I keep talking about mindfulness? Because mindfulness is something like our breath. Stop breathing, we die. Stop mindful, we lose everything. So take mindfulness practice the same as you are breathing. If we stop breathing, we die. We stop live with mindfulness, many wrong things will be happening. Thank you for your listening and your attention. Please enjoy the three sounds of the bell. Please massage your legs.